He was the one person Sally Field detested the most. Sally Margaret Field was born in Pasadena, California, on November 6, 1946, into a family already impacted by the entertainment industry. Jock Mahoney was her stepfather, and her mother, Margaret Field, was an actress. Renowned stuntman and actor. These early connections in Hollywood allowed Sally to be exposed to the entertainment industry at an early age. However, she had a difficult journey. Her early years were characterized by emotional difficulties and the difficulties of residing in a mixed-race household. She frequently characterized herself as a timid and insecure young woman. However, there was a natural aptitude and charisma that was just waiting to be revealed beneath that shy facade. Following her graduation from Venice Birmingham High School, Sally obtained her first significant television opportunity, which would serve as the catalyst for her career. She rose to fame in 1965 as the star of the humorous sitcom Gig, which followed A Wild Young Surfer. Despite only having one season, the show demonstrated Sally's kindness and witty timing, winning over viewers right away. She played Sister Bertrill, a happy nun who could actually fly, in The Flying Nun 1967–1970, 2 years later, in another iconic role. Despite the popularity of the series, Field subsequently acknowledged that she felt stuck in the picture of the charming, vivacious girl. She secretly yearned to become independent and establish herself as a serious actress with nuanced and complicated emotions. Her life changed as a result of her desire. Resolved to reinvent herself, Sally started taking acting lessons at the renowned Lee Strasberg's workshop. From a popular TV star to a true artist prepared to take on difficult, significant roles that would shape the remainder of her career, the experience changed her craft and confidence. In 1976, Sally Field's perseverance paid off when she gave an incredible performance in the TV film Sybil. She played a young lady with dissociative identity disorder in it, a part that required a remarkable level of emotion and range. Field's performance was absolutely revolutionary. She received an Emmy for her performance, which marked a significant turning point in her career, and was commended by critics for her realism and ferocity. For the first time, Hollywood began to perceive Sally Field as a serious dramatic force and no longer saw her as the happy sitcom TV actress. Her success in Sybil gave her access to the kinds of parts she had long desired, roles that tested her and gave her the chance to demonstrate her entire range as an actress. When Field starred in Norma Ray, a moving tale about a Southern textile worker who aspires to become a union activist, in 1979, that moment peaked. Both critics and viewers found great resonance in her portrayal of bravery, conviction, and unadulterated humanity. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her performance. Her heartfelt acceptance speech, "You like me, you really like me," became one of the most famous moments in Oscar history, expressing her sincere appreciation and long-needed reinforcement. Sally Field continued to show her adaptability in a wide variety of roles throughout the 1980s. In Smokey Icky and the Bandit, 1977, and The End, 1978, she featured alongside Burt Reynolds, with whom she had a real-life romance as well as on-screen chemistry. Even though their relationship ended, it continued to be one of the most talked-about couples of the time, influencing a pivotal period in her career and personal life. Field's roles in Steel Magnolia, 1989, and Places in the Heart, 1984, which won her a second Oscar for Best Actress, further solidified her repute as one of the most enduring and well-respected artists in Hollywood. She struck a balance between strength and vulnerability in each character, depicting ladies who bravely battled, loved, and persevered. Sally Field, decade after decade, demonstrated that her acting career was long-lasting. It was ageless. In the 1994 film Forrest Gump, Sally Field enthralled audiences once more as Tom Hanks's devoted and astute mother, a part that went on to become iconic in and of itself. She later made a comeback to television, winning praise from critics for her roles as the tough yet sympathetic matriarch of a contemporary family in ER and Brothers and Sisters. She won another Emmy for her performance in Brothers and Sisters, solidifying her place among the best in television. Skills. Field continued to take on jobs that tested her limits even in her 70s. She played Mary Todd Lincoln in Steven Spielberg's Lincoln 2012 after giving a stirring Broadway performance in The Glass Menagerie, which garnered her another. Nominated for an Oscar. Beyond performing, she developed into a fervent supporter of mental health awareness, LGBTQ+ equality, and women's rights, using her position to uplift and empower others. Field's memoir from 2018 gave readers a very intimate glimpse into her life. Works in which she openly discussed her heartbreak, personal victories, and difficulties with self-esteem. Readers who respected her candor and fortitude found great resonance in the book, which exposed the strength beneath her weakness. Her personal life has been just as intricate and varied as her professional life. In 1968, Field got married for the first time to Stephen Craig as she moved from the humorous popularity of Gig and The Flying Nun to a more serious career. As she sought to establish herself as a serious actress, their relationship developed amid a time of significant personal and professional transformation. The couple had two sons, Eli Craig, born in 1972, and Peter Craig, born in 1969, despite their separation in 1973 and their divorce in 1975. They both went on to have prosperous Hollywood careers. Peter rose to prominence as a screenwriter and author, working on well-known movies as The Town, 2010, and Top Gun Maverick, 2022. Eli achieved success as a director and performer, winning praise for his dark comedy Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, 2010. Field has frequently talked proudly about her sons, highlighting their close relationship. Despite all of the highs and lows of motherhood continued to be her greatest source of stability and strength throughout her lengthy career, keeping her grounded in the dynamic world of Hollywood. Sally Field got into one of the most well-known romances of her life with Hollywood legend Burt Reynolds following the dissolution of her marriage to Stephen Craig. The media and audiences were captivated by their affair, which started in 1976 and lasted until 1980. One of the most adored on-screen and off-screen couples, the two originally got together while filming the action comedy Smokey Icky and the Bandit, which was a huge box office success in 1977. Of the late 1970s, 3 additional partnerships resulted from their indisputable chemistry. Hooper, 1978, Smokey and the Bandit 2, 1980, and The End, 1978. However, their love was complex and equally passionate off-screen. Reynolds struggled with vulnerability and control, which ultimately strained their relationship, according to Field's later description of Reynolds. Despite their formal breakup in 1980, the two had an intermittent relationship for a couple more years before permanently splitting up in 1982. Both looked back on their time together with fondness and lingering feelings in later years. Reynolds famously referred to Field as the love of my life in his 2015 autobiography. In Pieces, Field's 2018 autobiography characterized their relationship as emotionally complicated and challenging at times. When Sally Field wed film producer Alan Gurman in 1984, she discovered love once more. She had already won 2 awards, making her one of Hollywood's most renowned actresses by that point. Academy Awards for Places in the Heart, 1984, and Norma Ray, 1979. In 1987, she and Grime Man welcomed Sam, their 3rd son, who gave her life new purpose and happiness. Field has frequently expressed affection for Sam, who is now a writer and activist, as well as the solid, enduring relationship that characterizes her family. Field always put motherhood first despite having a hard job. She described striking a balance between work and family as both difficult and incredibly fulfilling. But her marriage to Grindman ultimately ended, as is the case with many Hollywood romances. The pair, after 10 years together, they got divorced in 1994. Numerous behind-the-scenes tales from Hollywood sets have surfaced throughout time. Tales of conflicting personalities and artistic strain. However, few compare to the alleged conflict between Tommy Lee Jones and Sally Field. whose early dynamic would go on to become one of her career's most talked about. Even though Sally Field and Tommy Lee Jones are both well-known, Oscar-winning performers who are valued for their extraordinary skill and professionalism, their collaboration on Back Roads, 1981, was infamously tumultuous. Field, renowned for. When talking about her experiences in Hollywood, she was honest and didn't hold back when expressing how she really felt about Jones. "I've worked with difficult men before," she once remarked. However, Tommy was a completely different matter. He was unfeasible. He was the person I detested the most out of all the people I've ever worked with. Her statements, which were honest but also worn out, conveyed how deeply frustrated and emotionally strained she had been by the experience. Both actors were at pivotal points in their careers at the time of filming. With her critically lauded roles in Smokey and the Bandit, 1977, and Norma Ray, 1979, Sally Field had already demonstrated her dramatic ability. As Tommy Lee Jones was becoming well known for his rough, visceral performances and his unwavering. Their on-screen relationship seemed unfiltered and convincing due to his commitment to his profession, but it was actually driven by real conflict behind the scenes. Field subsequently acknowledged that they didn't need to act in many of their emotionally heated times. They were authentic. She said that every sentence and every glance between us was loaded. I wasn't acting like I was upset with him. Yes, I was. Their different methods of acting were the source of their dispute. Field was frank, sensitive, and cooperative. Jones, on the other hand, was renowned for being gloomy, meticulous, and contemptuous of other people's opinions. Field's yearning for empathy and respect was severely at odds with his domineering demeanor. He could be condescending, she clarified. He treated me as though I was inexperienced, despite the fact that I had already received an Academy Award. It was offensive. Later, crew members recalled the stressful and exhausting atmosphere on set, which was characterized by extended silences and obvious hostility between the leads. Ironically, though, their on-screen bond was energized by that very animosity. Their performances were lauded by critics for being realistic and unvarnished. Field later said that she poured her actual frustration into the part without realizing it was the result of real conflict. I fueled my performance with every ounce of annoyance I had for Tommy. In an odd sense, it was cathartic. Nevertheless, she expressed her thoughts clearly when the filming was over. She would never again collaborate with him. I was sick of being in the same room as him, she said simply. Tommy Lee Jones never addressed Field's remarks in public. But his silence said more than words could. Tommy, who is well known for his tough exterior and dislike of Hollywood rumors. Lee Jones dismissed any suggestions of a quarrel as absurd. However, insiders attested to the fact that his attitude frequently clashed with co-stars, particularly with strong-willed individuals like Sally Field who refused to be intimidated. Sally gave as good as she got, a Back Roads crew member recounted. The fact that she refused to back down only exacerbated their relationship. Seeing two storms collide was like that. Later on, Field recalled the incident with a mixture of amusement and persistent annoyance. I guess he's a. She acknowledged that she was a talented actor, but it doesn't mean you had to like them. I didn't. I actually detested him. Fans who respected her honesty and refused to sugarcoat Hollywood's realities were moved by her candor. No matter how professional, not all working relationships are enjoyable, she warned the audience. After filming, actors are assumed to become buddies. That's not always true, she remarked. Occasionally. You simply make it through it. Backrows is still a minor footnote in both actors' otherwise remarkable careers, even after decades have passed. It is remembered more for the combustible dynamic between its performers than for its plot. Both continued to attain outstanding success. Jones with The Fugitive, 1993, Field with Places in the Heart, 1984, Steel Magnolia, 1989, and No Country for Old Men, 2007. Their cooperation serves as a potent illustration of how intense personal turmoil may coexist with creative genius. Ultimately, Sally Field's sentiments regarding Tommy Lee Jones never wavered. Her frank, sardonic, and intensely felt remarks continue to be among Hollywood's most startling admissions of animosity amongst co-stars. "He may be talented," she said. "However, skill does not justify cruelty. I would prefer to collaborate with anyone else." That unvarnished, unadulterated statement aptly conveys Sally Field's essence, a lady who founded her legacy on sincerity, ardor, and the guts to voice her opinions, regardless of how awkward that reality may be.